Welcome back to Fujitsu Forum, where we continue to bring you the inside track from an event which has attracted over 12,500 delegates flying in from over 80 countries. This puts into context the importance industries place on the opinions shared by Fujitsu. What we've been doing throughout the day is looking at each of the verticals and the challenges that businesses and C-suites are facing across a whole myriad of industry. We're now going to look at the customer view of Fujitsu's philosophy, digital co-creation. We're fortunate to be joined by Regina Moran. Digital co-creation, it's been a message Fujitsu have been pushing now for a while, but for the benefits of those that don't know what digital co-creation is, can you just sum it up for us?
Yeah, I will. Thanks, Colin. I mean, it's actually quite simple in many ways. It's the bringing together of the customer and their business people and their business environment, particularly frontline staff, in a kind of a creative environment. So oftentimes off-site, maybe in one of our innovation centres or somewhere in kind of a creative environment with our industry consultants and our technical people, and kind of looking at the challenges that they face and almost like hackathon style coming up with what can we do, what are the options to solve those business problems. Some of them are technology related, but we're open to an ecosystem approach as well. And in that kind of creative sort of soup, as it were, ideas emerge. And the value to us is we get great insights into the customer's business, which is the value to the customer is they get as insight into what's happening in other sectors, adjacent sectors, very different sectors, and then obviously access to emerging technology, new thinking. And I've been involved myself in a number of these, and it's a very energetic experience actually. And it takes people away from, I suppose, the day job and the kind of operational view of the world into a world of possibilities. And ideas emerge from that I don't think if we did a more traditional approach, it would work.
That's really interesting, and that's a point that's been echoed by a lot of the Fujitsu staff we've spoken to today. And it's quite apparent that everything's bespoke for your customers. It's not a solution for customer A can then be applied to customer B. You really do look at the individual problems and then look at the solutions on a case-by-case scenario, don't you?
Yeah, well, I think it's very important because, there's so many nuances in an organisation. There's the culture of the organisation, there's the reward systems of the organisation, there's their customers or the citizens that they serve. So it isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of approach anymore. And at the heart of digital transformation is this kind of collision that's happening between the physical world and the digital world. And that changes from situation to situation. I mean, the challenge for all of us is everything can be digitalized now. You can put sensors on things, you can put tags on, everything can be digitalized. So you can create a digital image of every physical item that exists in the value chain. The question is, what should you digitalize? What business processes should you change as a result of that digitalization? How do you bring your staff, your employees and your customers or citizens on that journey with you? So it's quite bespoke because it kind of has to be.
It's really interesting. We were talking to Jack Sahi on retail earlier, and he was painting a lovely picture about how retail's had to evolve. We've got all these wonderful data points, we've got all this rich information, but rather than just informing the customer journey, that data could then be informing physical environments and what's happening to delight customers within the shop floor. And I found that interesting that it's almost gone 360. It's back to those physical environments, traditional business, with talented people on the front line affecting change, but it's informed change through data.
Yes. Well, the great thing about, the technologies now like IntelliEdge, which you might have heard about here, is that's the kind of collection of all the sensing data and all the data points, including, social media data, linked open data we call it, because it's not just the traditional data points that are stored in databases that are important, and building up that much more holistic picture of your customer's environment or your citizen's environment actually, because we do a lot of public sector work as well. And some of the challenges are identical actually in creating a value chain that supports value for the end customer and the end citizen, because our customers are under terrible pressure, the same as we are, to innovate, to come up with new ideas. But you have to see where's the value in that. Is there a societal benefit? Is there a financial benefit? So the other piece that is a wrapper around that is our benefits realization methodology. Okay, what outcomes are we trying to achieve? Some of them are softer variables in terms of maybe staff motivation, retention. Others are, black and white. Is there a return on this? Where are we going to see it show up in terms of increased revenue, reduced cost, operational efficiency? And if people can really understand the destination, it helps as well in terms of the creation process, because it isn't innovation for the sake of it. And I think that's really important. There has to be a defined benefit and value at the end. Even if it's, as I said, a softer one, we have to know the journey that we're on with the customer.
I think Internet of Things was a phrase first coined back in 99, probably 8-9 years ago, that we really felt the force within business. Found it interesting listening to Duncan Tate and his keynote this morning. We've still got this huge digital explosion. There's so much more that can be happening, and we've got to figure out the role of digital within business. How far can we take co-creation? I mean, have we scratched the surface of opportunity, or have we still got some way to go?
I think that, there's huge possibilities, particularly in business model disruption, actually. So at the moment, we're talking about, co-creation with a customer about their business. In one instance, we were co-creating with a customer about their business, and we realised that actually both of us could create a new business model together and go just disrupt a different sector. So that part is only at the very start, where you create something that is of value within the context of the customer, but if you take that with that customer and go do something more innovative again with it, you can actually create revenue growth, you can create new markets, and that I suppose end of the equation, if you like, is very new, and only just, and it wasn't something that was a conscious decision almost to go into a co-creation environment with that as an outcome. It was born from. And I think there's a lot more of that kind of collision between sectors, convergence happening, the intersection of two sectors and the value that can be created there. There's huge possibilities in that, I think.
I know you work very closely with your partners when you're delivering to customers. The co-creation message, is that something that any of your partners have taken on within their businesses to drive their own agenda? Is it a message, a philosophy that you've seen scaled within partners and customers?
Yeah, we have actually. I have seen it in a number of cases where the methodology and the process and the kind of the creative environment is used by people themselves. This isn't something that Fujitsu themselves has to always participate in, actually. We have some solutions that are valid, but increasingly there's an ecosystem of value that needs to be created. So, we have more and more partners that we work with. Some of them are large and they're here with us today, but some of them are quite small. And you have these kind of niche solutions that fit into that ecosystem. And, we do a lot of work with small to medium-sized enterprises as well. And bringing people like that into the mix can be very, very valuable, because again, they've got another different perspective that they can bring to the mix. So I think it's kind of that bringing together of kind of, if you like, we call it human-centric innovation, to look at the human dimension of the problem, as it were. And I think the partners that we've worked with, and even small organisations, can benefit from this. We're benefiting ourselves from it, because guess what? We need to transform ourselves and move forward ourselves, because I remember reading a quotation, I think it's from James Dean, and he said, we can't change the direction of the wind, but we can adjust our sails to always reach our destination. And there's a strong wind blowing of change. You talked about IoT as it was 9 years ago and IoT today.
Very different.
And billions of data points, as opposed to, hundreds of thousands of data points. And the thing is growing exponentially. So you can't stand still, and Fujitsu as an organisation can't stand still either. We really have to continually transform ourselves. And this methodology, this approach, this co-creation, I suppose mantra almost as it is now, is helping us as well, helping our partners and helping our customers.
Brilliant, thank you very much. That's really insightful. We could talk about this all day. Still got plenty to come today. We're actually here for 2 days, but we've still got a discovery within manufacturing. We're going to explore smart factories, optimization within manufacturing. We're actually going to also go and take a deeper dive into the Internet of Things within retail. We might have some education narrative for you. And we're also going to explain what a sock in a box is. More to come.